At this point, I'll open the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission, Village of Bartlett, Counties of Cook, DuPage, and Kane at 7:05. Please call the roll.
Here.
Steve Callahan.
Here.
Charlie DeVoe.
Here.
Mark Hopkins.
Here.
Julie Kapadukakis. Here. George Koziel.
Here.
John Miasso.
Here.
Michelle Sarwaz.
Here.
Mike Weirden.
Here. You have before you the minutes from the May 5th meeting. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Bob,
Second.
seconded by John. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Callahan.
Here.
Charlie DeVoe.
Yes.
Mark Hopkins.
Yes.
Julie Kapadukakis. Here. George Koziel.
Yes.
John Miasso.
Yes.
Michelle Sarwaz.
Abstain.
Barb Caro.
Yes.
Mike Weirden.
Yes. Okay, point 4, public forum.
Yes.
Wrong month.
It's something that's required as part of the Opens Meetings Act,
Okay,
that we're supposed to have that in case there's anyone in the public that would like to speak on something that
Oh,
is
that's
not
right.
listed on the agenda.
doesn't look like it.
So you just open it and close it.
Okay, then now we'll close the public forum. The only case on the agenda tonight, item 5, case 22-06, 841 Brookside Drive. Are the petitioners present? Please step up to the microphone, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm that the evidence you're about to give is only the whole truth?
I do.
Do we have the evidence of the mailings, the newspaper article, and the picture of the sign?
Yes.
Mark those exhibits A, B, and C. Go ahead and state your name and address for the record and present your case.
Yes, good evening. My name is Pete Rakowitz. I live at 841 Brookside Drive, DuPage County. And I'm here tonight requesting a variance of 2.5 feet to the north side of my home. Having a one-car garage proves difficult at times. Back in 2018, I decided to expand and extend my driveway up the north side of my property, approximately 8 feet wide. And now what I'm doing is, what I want to happen is now extend my one-car garage into a two-car garage and put that all over the existing 8-foot wide cement slab. When the home was originally built, some 40-plus years ago, the home was pretty much placed right in the center of the lot. And if it were moved slightly to the south, towards the south easement, approximately 2.5 feet, I wouldn't be here tonight asking you for a variance. I also have in my backyard a 60-foot easement, 50 of that which belongs to Kinder Morgan, the gas field, and then a 10-foot easement with overhead power. So with the construction of a two-car garage in the back of my property, that would consume a very large portion of unprotected property by easement. Additionally, if I were to do that, I would have to pretty much demolish my existing garage to fit my truck up the side of the house to get to that garage. And I didn't want to invest too much in the architectural plans without your prior approval. But the addition would mirror and match identically to the siding of the house and the overall appearance of it. And then finally, I have a letter here from my next door neighbor directly to the north at 839 Brookside, who would be the most affected neighbor from this. And in the letter, she does express that she has no issues with me, with the plans of our addition as well. So thank you for your time and consideration.
Are we allowed to have the letter then?
Absolutely.
You can mark that exhibit D. Well, we'll look at it. Yeah, pass it around. Yeah. Did you staff get any calls from any neighbors or anything?
No.
Okay. I think it's admirable that the neighbor on whom you would be encroaching most does not have a problem with it. That's a good sign. The person that would be, because it's pretty close to the property line. Any questions from the board? You have an unusual situation with the problem in the back, as you said. You would not.
Yes, sir.
It would consume quite a bit of the backyard. Seeing that nobody is opposed to it and you got this letter, I think it would probably be a big improvement for you, and the driveway's already there.
Correct.
I presume the shingles are going to match what?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
That wasn't mentioned. So I
Yes.
just wanna-
Yes. I take very good pride in my property, and it's well-maintained year-round.
Yes, I noticed that when I was down there. Any questions before we open it up to the public? Okay, at this point, we have to open it up to the public. Anyone in the audience? Nobody has anything? Any further comments or motions by the board?
Nice place, good plan.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion to send a positive recommendation to the village board on case 2206, 841 Brookside Drive.
Been moved by Bob. Is there-
Second.
Second by Michelle. Any further discussion? At this point, we shall close the public hearing. Please call the roll.
Charlie DeVoe,
Yes.
Mark Hopkins,
Yes.
Julie Kapatukakis,
Yes.
George Koziel,
Yes.
John Miaso,
Yes.
Michelle Sarawaz,
Yes.
Bob Bacaro,
Yes.
Steve Callahan,
Yes.
Mike Weirden.
Yes. Okay, we'll pass on a positive recommendation to the board. Any idea when it might be on the board agenda?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Stay in touch with Christie and find out. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the next item, new business, old business, rules and procedures. Uh-oh.
So if you recall, the last couple meetings, we discussed the rules of procedure. We drafted some rules, and they were reviewed by the village attorney, who added a lot of footnotes to the rules, and also made sure that our suggestions were in accordance with the Open Meetings Act.
Okay.
So some of the changes in here were not exactly what we wanted. We were hoping that we'd be able to have a quorum with not just members physically present, but being able to count people that were remote. We cannot do that at this time due to the Open Meetings Act. That was only during the emergency order because of COVID.
Okay. Makes sense.
So what's the issue with remote attendance?
So you can still have remote attendance, but we need to have at least 5 members physically present.
So as long as we have the 5 members present, somebody who's in the hospital doing it remote is still able to vote?
Correct. The members that are present would vote on whether to allow that person to join remotely. And then if it's agreed that they're allowed to attend remotely, then they can vote in the meeting.
So at that point, it's business as usual,
Correct.
as if you were sitting here.
Yes.
It does say that you should contact the staff and/or the chairman and let them know that that's what you would like to do.
Okay.
We had a discussion last month specifically about COVID, since it's still around. I mean, it's potentially, there's a possibility that any one of us, would do remote because of that. Would that, on page 5, when we list the 3 reasons, be considered an emergency?
Well, you could be considered under personal illness,
Oh, okay.
so,
Oh, yeah, all right.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's a lot of information. It certainly adds a lot of structure to the commission and to the commissioners. And the expectation sheet that is here, I don't think any of that is bad. It really, in my mind, emphasizes that we have to make the commitment if we want to sit here. And as, you know, I mean, as far as laying out the procedures and much of it we've done, but this really, you know, makes it a very formal way to do it. So I think it's good. I've got a couple suggested changes, but
Is this the time for suggested change?
And you don't have to vote on this tonight if you want to delay it and still, you know, review it. You can do that. So,
I would love to have another month.
okay, that's fine. And then, Bob, did you want to go over your suggestions?
okay. Article 3, Section 2, which is on page 4. This is just a minor, where we have conduct of members and then the conduct of public. I would recommend taking the last sentence on section or paragraph D, the chairman shall take such action as needed. I suggest moving that into a separate E so that it applies to both members and the public, which it says later. I mean, further on, it says that, but I think it'd be clearer being separate.
How does everybody else feel about that?
So you want the last sentence of D to become a paragraph E
Correct.
to emphasize its importance?
Well, to emphasize that it also pertains to C, which is the conduct of members. Right now, it's stuck in a section which is conduct of public. Later on, it does say, you know, what the responsibilities are, but I just thought it would make it clearer.
You know, in the past, I don't know how ZBA worked, but we had some pretty ornery plan commission meetings where the chair needed to wrangle the public and try to calm things down.
Did you see the underlined part, Mark? Under D?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And we've had all that, and we've had a problem with it. And, you know, unfortunately, the chair is faced with, you know, a problem on how to run the meeting and also how to make sure that the rights of the petitioners and the public to be heard are upheld, but at the same time, right, that the public needs to understand there's a level of comportment.
But also, that's also true for a commissioner. If you get a commissioner who is
No,
being disrespectful or...
I agree that. I just don't have any personal experience of that over the years. It's been pretty gracious between the commission members. So, you know, maybe it can appear in both. But there will come a time when, you know, we need to wrangle an ornery meeting.
I know when we had the bail fill especially,
Yeah.
sometimes things got pretty out of hand. I personally have never had to use the gavel, but my predecessors have. And I would not be reluctant to use it, I just have not needed to. We haven't had ruckus meetings the way things were years ago on big contentious issues like the bail fill.
What would be wrong with putting that last sentence, that the chairman shall take, add that to C also.
Both.
You know, yes, it's repetitive, but it very plainly states what needs to be done at that.
That's fine.
Actions as needed would include asking the police to eject somebody that is just overly contentious.
Yes.
Or asking someone to leave.
I like to see, I like Bob's suggestion, make it a D or make it E, that one sentence maybe with something referring to C and D.
What if we made it E and we said, "The chairman shall take such actions as needed to maintain an orderly and civil meeting between both the public and the P and Z members"? How's that?
Yeah, very good.
Pretty good.
Okay.
Fine.
Get that, Devin?
Easy for her to say, she's gone.
Whatever makes you guys happy, I'm here for you.
We'll make you come back.
We want you to leave on a good note.
Page 5, Section 3. Nope, sorry. Yes. A. Shall notify the secretary as soon as possible if you're not going to be there. I think the chairman should be also contacted at the same time.
We could add that in. The secretary is actually the director of the department. That's what the secretary is defined as in here, but we can add chairman as well. Sometimes if you notify the chair, the director, then we contact the chairman for you, so we could do that as well. So we could put and/or, maybe? Would that suffice?
I just think that
Makes it a
he should know, so however he finds out. And I realize that you probably do that, but since we are putting everything down, I think the chairman needs to know,
Okay,
should know.
okay.
So the notice should go to two people, to the secretary and the chairman?
That's what I'm suggesting.
I have a question, because I don't understand how this would work. If you contact the secretary, does that individual have to do something to prepare the environment for a remote attendance? I mean, that's not something that the chairman can do. He would have to contact the secretary. Someone has to prep the environment so that a remote attendance can
It's not necessarily for a remote, it could be just to establish a quorum. If we have several of you call in and say that you're not going to be able to make a meeting due to an illness, that's concerning for us, and we then will have Kim call each one of you that are remaining and ask if you're going to be in attendance so that we can notify all of you that there is a meeting tonight, that we have a quorum.
We've had that problem in the past when we only had 5 members and somebody was sick or out of town or something like that. We'd get a call to see if the other 4 were going to make it. And when we got down to 4 members,
Right, and by us doing that, we would be notifying the chairman as well.
Right? So really, it's not just electronic attendance, it's if you can't make the meeting, and I think later on, when there's there was something about attendance, that you contact the department, the secretary, and copy the chairman.
We're just concerned that we will have a physical quorum at Village Hall.
Right, and that could be under electronic attendance if people are seeking for one of those reasons to be, an electronic attendance, but you can as well just not have a quorum at a meeting.
Getting back to what we kind of discussed 5 minutes ago, though, if you're calling to say that you're going to video or Zoom in, the P and Z members do have to vote on that.
So if we didn't have much advance warning, we could conceivably vote no.
And if the P and Z, I'm thinking, says no, then they're not, that person is not voting, and they're not on Zoom that night. So
Right.
their vote will not count.
Yeah, well,
Why don't we run this by the attorney and see, I think it's going to be fine, though. I don't see a problem with what you're asking for.
I mean, like you just said, with a regular meeting, no electronic, you know, this one's sick, this one's on vacation, this one, whatever, you can get down and not have a quorum, and in which case, as in the past, you know, Kim gets on the phone and makes some calls. I'm just trying to maybe put structure to that and say, if you, telling us if you can't make it, as soon as you can, as soon as you know that, let us know.
Would you want it via email, maybe, to the director and the chairman then?
I mean, what I've done is to tell Kim, I'm going to be there, and copy him,
Okay,
or I'm not going to be there and copy him.
okay.
Now, I don't know about FOIA and all of that, where this information is going to his personal email, if there's reasons not to do that. I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, it wouldn't seem, it's just communication.
And it's only two of you, so, you know,
Right.
you're not
Okay.
violating the Open Meetings Act.
I mean, I don't know, do you have a preference?
I like the way you do it. I work for the Department of Revenue, and for the most part, 4 or 5 days a week, all day long, I'm sitting at my work computer. So it's not my preference to drag this one out and continue sitting at my desk looking at a little screen. So I appreciate it on my email or a text that's on my phone, and I'll see it faster.
And your personal email is on your phone?
Yes. Yes. So I prefer getting it, you know, copy them and me on my personal, just to make sure that I get it.
But you find that useful?
Yeah. Especially if all of a sudden we have 3 people, it's like, okay, are we gonna have a quorum? I just remember it was a problem in the past. So there was only one time that I can remember that we actually did not have a quorum. And then somebody was stuck in traffic or something, it seems like eventually made it. But it's a scare, because it's not fair to everybody else, especially the petitioner, who has complied, sent out all the certified mailings, the sign, then the staff got it in the newspaper, and now we can't have a meeting because we don't have a quorum. It doesn't look good for the village.
And staff is taking care of that, okay, and then I have a question. Page 7, Article 3, Section 6, Rules of Order. C. About motions. Number 4, Roman numeral 4, or item IV. Does that refer to at a public hearing, closing the public hearing? Can you explain that?
I just want to say I'm not an attorney.
I think I'm on a different page than you.
This is when a debate amongst yourselves is taking place, okay? And there's a disagreement, or the discussion is going on longer than you feel is necessary. you have the right to make a motion to close the debate or call the question, which is all conversations then stop, and a motion's made, let's see what it says here, without further debate, and unless a motion's made to adjourn. But what they're saying is, if the motion to close debate and call the question is contested by an objection to the motion, oh my gosh, the chairman will ask for a roll call on the motion to close the debate, blah, 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 which shall pass if approved by a majority of the P and Z Commission present. A motion to close debate and call the question does not require a second. So it stops basically all discussion. You're making a motion. You want to have the vote. You want a motion to recommend approval. Let's go.
And any commissioner can make that motion.
Yes.
I think that comes straight out of Robert's rules, doesn't
Yes,
it?
yes. And in all my years here, neither the zoning board or the plan commission, that's never happened. It does happen on the village board.
So if there was a lot of discussion going on among the members of the commissioners, we could make this type of a motion to bring the discussion to an end?
To a close. Close the debate. The bickering back and forth or the debating about how you might want to do something is closed. You're making the motion to close that debate and stop all. Make the motion, let's do a vote, and that's it.
You would make a motion to close the internal debate,
Yes,
and then you would have to decide what to do next,
yes, yes,
such as make a motion
yes.
And there could be a continuance, right?
That could be a motion too, right.
Motion to adjourn,
Motion to
one of them.
adjourn, that's right.
right?
Or could it be, when you vote on it, the majority want to continue to discuss it?
Well, if you've called to close the debate, there is no more discussion.
But isn't that voted on?
It says, if
No.
the motion to close debate and call the question is contested by an objection to the motion, the chairman will ask for a roll call on the motion to close debate and call the question, which shall pass if approved by a majority of the P and Z Commission present.
Just a simple majority of the present ones.
Right.
So,
And what happens-
So if George said, call the question, and I say, I object to the motion, then Mike would call for a vote.
So if there are five
On
of
the
us here,
objection.
three,
Five of you agree to close the debate, then the debate is closed.
I mean, if only five of us are here, it would just take three people, a simple majority, right?
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
that's right.
simple
All we
majority.
have, right?
But again, if everyone except the person making the motion says no,
Then it
then
can,
you continue the debate.
right, that's right, right. I don't foresee that happening with you
Well-
guys.
It's never happened yet,
No,
but it is.
It is good to know.
Standard rules of order.
Right, it is very standard, yes. And I've seen it happen several times.
I've seen village board meetings get contentious before.
Thank goodness we're not a contentious group.
Yeah, that's right.
As long as we're at a pause, I'd like to back up a bit. What is, with the discussions of Mike talking about receiving a message on his phone, I mean, what's going to be the policy going forward then? If enough people called and said they can't make it, and let's say we ran into the situation of possibly canceling a meeting, how would we notify all of the members that the cancellation is taking place? Or is that a little bit like, if we need to check, do a poll to check to see who's attending, physical phone calls are made to each individual?
What do you want to do?
We would call, if a meeting's canceled, depending on how much time we're aware of, because we don't have a quorum, we could post the notice that the meeting's canceled and what the next regular date is. However, if we have a public hearing that's scheduled for that date, The members that can make it can come. We can formally continue the public hearing to the next regularly scheduled date without having to republish and re-notify. That is not considered part of the regular business. We can do that.
So if only 4 people show up, we could do a continuance based on
Right.
that, okay. Which would certainly save a lot of headache. We wouldn't have to republish. As you said.
Correct.
It makes sense. I have a question. If you go to page 8, item C, speakers shall limit their remarks to no more than 3 minutes unless additional time is granted by the chairman or by majority vote of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Then it goes on about the timer and so forth. Now, this is not always the case, even at village board meetings. Unless there seems to be a big crowd and it's anticipated that they're gonna get repetitive, or somebody might try to filibuster, so to speak, and just go on and on and on. And like tonight, there was no need to even mention 3 minutes, because there's nobody in the audience. Is this saying that this is like a command, we have to limit it, or that's an option?
So our village clerk does have a timer, and I hear it at every meeting when a speaker gets up to the podium.
Do you? Okay.
I do. Now, they are pretty,
Lenient sometimes.
they're not very strict on, exact limiting. If someone's in the middle of a sentence, they're not going to cut you off. I think it all depends on how you and the board want to treat that 3-minute mark. That's just a standard number that seems to fulfill the requirement.
Right. And we can enforce it midway in the meeting when it seems like they're just saying the same thing over and over again.
Absolutely. That's your prerogative, yes.
I mean, having sat on both sides of this issue, being a speaker or a listener, I mean, I can see many instances where it depends on what's being spoken, how much of a audience there is that might possibly want to speak. That, yes, the timer goes off, but you let them finish within reason. I mean, you're not going to give them another 10 minutes, but if you ran another minute or 2, I don't think there should be a problem with that.
And I think George hit the legal jargon, which is within reason.
That
So
could
does
get tricky.
somebody usually have a timer at this meeting?
Lorna uses her phone.
Okay.
We could.
But doesn't it say it's up to the chairman? So it's kind of a common sense thing?
Right, right.
And I think a lot of it depends on what they're saying. I have been lucky enough to be on both sides.
Yeah,
But if you're really trying to explain something, and, and we know that, we all know the difference when you're listening, if you really want to hear what they say in the next minute
Yeah.
because it's explaining it, or if they're just rambling to get their point.
It's rare when I have brought this up, but sometimes when we've had like a big meeting, a lot of cars out there, it looks like it might be controversial, looks like a lot of people might be speaking, I'll say that in the beginning, but that doesn't happen too often. The bail fill's a good example. You had to limit people. You just had to. But, a small thing where not a lot of people are going to be speaking, let them speak.
But there will be more cases like that the Plan Commission previously reviewed, that the zoning board didn't have as often. So it will happen more often than you're used to.
Yes.
Get ready.
Yeah. Those of you that came from the zoning board.
Get
Plan
ready.
Commission has sat through many more of those.
Yes.
So the 3-minute rule allows you to apply a rule like this to control the amount of time. As others have said, depending on what's being said and what the rest of the crowd might be, you might go, just let them finish, because in all honesty, sometimes it's hard to complete a thought in 3 minutes.
I have told people that we were going to cut off debate because they're getting too repetitive. We've heard this already 4 or 5 times.
Right.
Right.
And it does help the public, too. When you have a large crowd, you might have a large number of people that want to speak. So by making an announcement that we're going to try to keep your comments to 3 minutes, as close as possible, it's totally understandable and within reason, and that would allow everyone that wanted to speak that night to be able to speak.
Yeah, because all of a sudden, somebody could hit a hot button that nobody anticipated. They're like, oh, boy,
Right, right.
now I got to speak.
Sure.
So, and for this section that we're reading is part of the public forum, so this is about things that are not on the agenda. So this section pertains to someone from the public comes in, wants to bring up an issue that you don't have a staff report for. It's not the public hearing. That's why there's also saying that we're trying to put like a 30-minute time limit on that total section so that the things that are scheduled for the agenda can be discussed at that meeting.
We could easily do a continuance on their issue or ask for more research.
Correct.
Yeah, it's the cross-examination that's the dicey
Yeah.
portion.
And I learned a new word. I don't know who came up with this word in section D of what we were just discussing. Public forums shall be bifurcated?
Yeah, that's a new one for me, too.
I had to look it up.
Village attorney.
Yep.
Where's this?
Section D, last sentence,
What page?
it's page 8,
Okay.
just prior to Article 5. It says, "Public forum shall be bifurcated and continued to the end of the agenda prior to new business."
Kind of like call to question. You're done. And
Pardon me?
It's kind of like the call to question.
Right,
You're done,
you're
and you
done.
get moved to the end of
Because
the
we got to
agenda.
divide,
It
we're
can
going to
still be heard.
divide this
Yes,
and do something else.
yes.
See that if we had 8 of us here and it was a 4-4 split and we didn't want to pass on just a roll call, it might be time to say, okay, let's continue this. Or maybe we want the village to decide on their own, the board, and, because we're not going to change our minds, right? Anything could happen. Very good. Anything else?
Did you see the last page with the attendance? With the, a P and Z commissioner member shall not miss 2 consecutive meetings without first discussing the absence with the chairman or the PDS director. And then any P and Z commission member absent from 3 or more meetings in a 12-month period may be recommended for dismissal. It shall be the discretion of the village president.
Probably a good thing.
What was the page number on that?
The last page, 15.
So I'm sort of assuming that sickness is exempt from that, or, okay, yeah, all right.
As long, again, just as long as you
No, it's not
notify
coming to the
the
board's-
secretary and the chairman, you're good. You know, just let us know.
Okay.
Oh, I just noticed something on page 10, section 2, introduction by the chairman. The chairman will begin each public hearing by announcing the name of the petitioner and the relief requested. Now, in the past, whoever was taking the minutes didn't want me to have all that extra saying because it was extra typing and the petitioner was going to say that. So this is maybe a change?
I remember you stating the case number you did tonight, the name of the case, and then all you would have to say is it's a variation at, 841 Brookside.
Okay,
That's all you have to do. Yeah, and you
variation.
typically do that, I think.
okay.
The plan commission issues aren't always about relief.
Correct. That is correct. But it's still good to state the item agenda, the agenda item for the recording. It's
Okay.
good.
So it's the request, right?
It could be the request, or it says the relief
It
requested.
doesn't apply to everything.
It could be just the request. We might want to change that. Well, let's run that one by the village attorney. I think that's a good catch there.
So on a plan item, is there a lot of cross-examination?
You mean by the public?
Yes.
Sometimes. Sometimes, when things get contested.
So it's not common, but
It happens often enough. That somebody, lives nearby and is going to be affected, and, the banquet facility was one where all the neighbors rose up and then wanted to, there was a little bit more direct talk between the petitioner and the public than probably was healthy, if you know what I mean. It almost turns into a side debate. So controlling that flow of questions through the chair to the petitioner, rather than, the petitioner should be addressing the chair, right, and not the person that's cross-examining them from, and those are only the ones that were affected by the notice, right?
We only had 5 members at that time, and it was a 3-2 split, so that becomes something that we couldn't even pass anything on. It was what we call a roll call vote.
Yeah. So it does happen.
yeah, and at that meeting, for us, it was kind of like that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, when I think of, there's reference to attorneys, and, I mean, we've never gone that far, and, from a zoning standpoint.
So typically, at the Plan Commission meetings, Mike, the chairman would kind of, as the public would come up and speak, he would jot down their questions or their topics. And then he would say, either staff or to the petitioner, okay, would you please answer these questions?
Rather than one at a time.
Right. And so he would kind of keep a little bit of a log of what came up, and, if it's about traffic, okay, could you address the traffic issue, Mr. Petitioner, or your attorney? So that's what kept the order, and then it keeps the direction from the attorney to the P and Z Commission.
I would imagine traffic is a common.
Yes, that's something that you have not, the Plan Commission really had a lot of traffic comments at some of their meetings.
Because I've seen it at village board meetings.
Yeah.
We had things where it was going to go to the plan commission also. We'd say, no, tonight we're only here on the parking. We're not here on anything else. So if you have questions on something else, you need to go to the plan commission meeting.
Yeah. Sometimes they don't understand what the commission does, and doesn't do.
Right. But those days are gone. Okay, any other suggestions? Good conversation.
Can we open this up again next month?
Yeah, we can keep this going till, we can continue the discussion for next month.
Okay.
We'll bring these items to our attorney, get responses to them, and then send you something updated.
So it was Brian that wrote the qualified right to cross-examination?
Yeah, I did not come up with that language.
I mean, well, did anybody else, I don't want to belabor it, but that's a real question mark for me.
He's going to keep that in there, I'll just tell you that right now.
It says 7 days' notice written ahead of the meeting.
Yeah, I think he
That will
got that
never-
right out of,
It'll just never happen.
we're going to do our best.
Pull the state statute or something?
Oh, yeah, I mean, he just didn't make that up.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for staff, too.
Yeah. And the other ones that I had researched did not have that section in there. I found 3 that were very, very similar to what I had originally proposed, and then our village attorney added more.
That'll teach ya.
And the first thing he said was the cross-examination was left out. That's the first thing he
Yeah.
said.
I think we're getting it before he retires.
But you did, each of you received this Planning and Zoning Commission expectation sheet. This came from administration, the mayor and the village administrator, and they would like you to sign and date it after you've read over it, reviewed it.
Can I cross out the items that I'm not going to?
Last one, to not violate any federal, state, or local laws governing the commission and complete the required Open Meetings Act training.
But you only have to do that once.
Correct. I think it's just Steve and Julie. Have you gotten on that? What? Okay, yeah, I think it's just the two of you.
Haven't we all?
Yeah, you have. But I think those two still need to do it.
If this really, that the Open Meetings Act training would only apply to a new member.
Well, you're signing this saying, yes, I completed it. You should have your little certificate, right? I've got mine.
I'll hold this for later.
Plan.
So does the village board have their rules of procedures?
They do, and it's in an ordinance. It's very official.
Yeah.
What is it, rules of modicum of decorum? Yeah, I mean, it's, oh, yeah.
So I would imagine there's a lot of similar items then.
I didn't ask. I didn't ask.
Wise.
One thing I would like to request, again, we have a lot of new members. We need that training in case there's a terrorist attack or something in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had talked to Kyle about that after the last meeting, and he had, the summers, he's incredibly busy, so he was going to schedule one of those for the fall for us.
Okay.
And I think that's good. Yeah.
Anything else coming up?
You have.
We will have a public hearing for a text amendment on cannabis dispensaries in commercial districts. And we will also have a Dunkin' Donuts and a Plata subdivision for a 2-lot subdivision at Schick and 59.
Lot's been open forever.
What?
That lot's been open forever.
Yes. There have been plans that have been approved for that
I know,
years
I
ago.
keep seeing, I've seen the signs go up over the years. I'm like, oh, we're getting something. No, we're not.
Southwest corner?
It's the northwest corner, so it's just south of
Bannerman
the
tried to do
Chesterbrook Academy.
Bannerman, I think, tried to do something.
So, and even this, I think it's a 2020 case, so it's taken a while.
I had heard that Rana Pasta was looking at building a new campus.
They have been looking at some property. Yes. No official application has been made to the village.
Anything else?
Well, speaking of old business, which is myself, I just, as you know, I'm retiring. This is my last Thursday night meeting after 32 years. And I just want to say it's been a joy and a pleasure working with all of you, getting to know each and every one of you, meeting Steve tonight for the first time. But I've really enjoyed it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Can we clap?
Yeah.
We haven't adopted these yet, it's fine.
Right, you better gavel that, Mike.
You were very dedicated, and we're all going to miss you. So we just wanted to put it in writing for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Put it with your little souvenir box.
Thank you. All right, thank you all.
George has something to say.
I'd like to say something, and I'll do my darndest to stay within the allotted 3 minutes. It's not too often that I have the opportunity to speak publicly, knowing that it will go on record. Today is an exception. This is about a person special to Bartlett and to me. If my memory is correct, we both started serving Bartlett at approximately the same time. Looking back, I am proud to say that Roberta's work and actions for the village of Bartlett have been above and beyond the norm, and that is why we are here tonight. Bartlett is a better place because of the work performed by Roberta. I feel I am more capable in what I do and have done over the many years I have had the opportunity to work with and to get to know you, Roberta. I was blessed to have had the chance to meet you and work with you. You will be missed by all of us, but we will be happy knowing that you are moving into a new chapter of your life. Now you will have more time to be with the special people in your life and to do more of what you want to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck with everything.
I'll take 30 seconds here, real briefly, because I've got kind of a unique perspective
Ready?
on this. And the reason is because I've been practicing architecture for the last 40-odd years in the Chicago metro area. So I work with planners and directors of community development in so many of the suburbs. And each municipality, has their own set of rules, their own quirks, their own codes, and what have you. And Roberta probably doesn't understand or realize how extraordinary she is in just plain sensibility, practicality, a talent and communication, the ability to wrangle so many people and make things happen in a friendly way is unique. And so she shines above her contemporaries, and Bartlett has been the beneficiary of that, I think. So we don't even like her because she's family, but she's also excellent at what she does.
Thank you.
We've had plenty of disagreements over the years.
Can we clap again? Or is that done?
Speech.
So next Tuesday will be your last village board meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.